Hello everyone, myself Vimal Salot from LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. I welcome all of you to this session of Automotive Manufacturing Processes and Technology. In this session, you will learn about some topics from the chapter Plastic Technology. The topics to be covered in this session are classification of plastic, extrusion molding, compressor molding, and transfer molding process. Nowadays, we know that plastic is widely used. Both industrial product as well as product for the household purpose are also made from the plastic because plastic has some very good desirable properties like it is corrosion resistant, it is light in weight as compared to metal, it is less costlier. Any shape and size can be given to the plastic with easiness. It is available in different attractive colors. So these are some of the properties. That's why plastic is widely used in the industries. Now let's see what are the different types of the plastic. So plastics are broadly classified in two types. First one are known as thermoplastics and the second one are known as thermosetting. The common point about both of these plastic is that any desired shape and size can be given to this plastic with the application of heat and pressure. But there is one difference between both of these plastic. In case of thermoplastic, after giving desired shape and size to the product, it can be reused also. But in case of thermosetting plastic, once we give the desired shape and size to the product, after that, that material cannot be reused. So it is concrete type material. For example, tire of automobile vehicle. We know that after melting, it cannot be reused. So that is the main difference between thermoplastic and thermosetting. Now there are certain types of thermoplastics like polyethylene, polystyrene, PVC, that is polyvinyl chloride, and PTFE. Popularly, it is known as Teflon. And there are certain types of thermosetting also, like aminos, phenolics, polyesters, and epoxides. Now let's see different manufacturing process to make plastic parts. So first process is extrusion molding process. Mainly this process is applicable to thermoplastics. So raw material for this process is in the form of granules or it may be in the form of pellets. So thermoplastic is a raw material for extrusion molding process. The common extruder which is used is shown here. Let's understand different parts and working of those parts in extrusion molding machine. So it consists of a hopper through which raw material in the form of thermoplastic granules is supplied to this chamber. You can see what is the form of the raw material. It is in form of granules. Now these granules is supplied to this chamber in which there is one rotating screw. This screw is continuously given rotary motion with the help of the electrical motor drive. So it is a electrical motor drive. It is coupled with this screw and by that means it is provided rotary motion. Surrounding to this chamber, heaters are placed. In this diagram, these heaters are shown by this red color. So with the application of heat, raw material comes in molten state. Now that molten plastic is advanced or it is traveling in this direction with the help of this rotating screw, and it will force to that molten plastic to come out through the die opening. Here in this diagram it is die and it is opening of the die. So as per the diameter of die, the extruded part will get the diameter. Now extruded part which is coming out, it will be at high temperature, so it requires cooling, and for that purpose cooling water can be used. So from this direction cold water is supplied, it will take the heat and will cool down the extruded part and will come out from the bottom side. So this type of the process can be used to produce a article with uniform cross section. Let's see some examples. So these are the products which can be used, which can be produced by the extrusion molding process, like PVC pipes, gas pipes, ink tubes, straws, and these are the channels which are having different sections, different shape of the cross section. These are another examples with different shape of the cross section. It is a cross section of hexagonal shape. Rods can also be produced, tubes can also be produced with this technique. If we want to produce some particular shape, then it is required to manufacture a die of that shape. So here you can see it is a product with some specific shape and size. So exactly that shape is given to this die. Now by using this die, we are pressing this molten plastic with the help of this plunger, and when this molten plastic will come out through this die, it will get the exact shape and size that was given to the die, and you can see in this diagram how the specific shaped product is manufactured. Next process is compression molding process. Generally it is applied to thermosetting plastic material. The machine which is used is of press type and it consists of two plates, lower plate and upper plate. Actually both of these plate are lower mold half and upper mold half, and one of these plate remains fixed and another is movable. Generally the lower plate or the lower mold half remains fixed and the upper mold half can be moved in vertical direction. So here also in this case it is movable. Lower mold half will remain stationary, and at the bottom of this lower mold half you can see here it is a projected part. It is a ejector pin which is useful to eject the mold part when the process is completed. In this diagram, the principle of this compression molding process is shown, and it consists of three main stages. In first stage, the raw material in the form of granules or pellets is placed in the lower mold half. It is preheated and it can be preheated in ovens. So that preheated raw material is now placed in the lower mold half. The important point is that the quantity of raw material should be calculated precisely because it has to fill the cavity of the mold. If it is less in quantity than the desired quantity, then the produced part may be rejected. This upper mold half now comes down. You can see in this second stage. So in this stage, when it comes down, it will press this already placed raw material in this lower mold half, and it will get the exact shape of this cavity. Here that shape is given to this raw material. After solidification and cooling, this molded part can be ejected with the help of the ejector pin. So when it is actuated, it is moved in this vertical direction, and it will eject the produced or the mold part we can get. So it is a compression molding process. It is another example to make the idea more clear. Here the shape of the die cavity is different than the first example, but principle remains similar. Here also this part lower fixed mold half, it is stationary, and it is a upper mold half, and it is movable, and the shape which we want to produce is shown here. So exactly that shape is given to this die cavity, and when this movable part comes down, it will press the charge and it will get the desired shape. After the solidification, it will be ejected with the help of this ejector pin. These are some examples of compression molding process. Rubber boots can be produced, or cap of the bottle can also be produced by the compression molding process. Next process is transfer molding process. Now in this technique, the transfer pot is used. Here you can see in this diagram, it is a pot and it is known as a transfer pot, through which the raw material is transferred to the mold cavity. The difference between compression molding and transfer molding is that in case of compression molding, the raw material is placed in an open die half, whereas here it is a pot in which the raw material is placed. It is also preheated, and it is shown by this light yellow color here. So it is a transfer pot, and this part is known as a sprue, through which the molten metal will flow to the mold cavity. Here it is a mold cavity, and you can see the shape of this mold cavity because the required shape of the product is like this. So that exact shape is given to the mold cavity. In second diagram you can see how this part is produced. So now this plunger comes down, it will press this molten plastic raw material, and that raw material is now passed through this sprue to this die cavity, and this die cavity is now fully filled with the raw material. So after solidification, it can be ejected with the help of this ejector pin. So in this session we discussed about what are the properties which made the plastic most usable in industries as well as for home appliances, some manufacturing process of plastic parts like extrusion molding process, compression molding process, and transfer molding process. Thank you for watching.